No, I love Ratatouille. I see, here's the thing. I love to go to New York and watch the rats in the subways. I love to go for rat girl walks. I love to think about rats. I just don't like to be close to them in person because their tails freak me out.
Where are the quiet gays? Where are the quiet gays supposed to go?
Hello, and welcome to Lesbian Book Club, a podcast for the quiet gays, where we get together and talk about all the sapphic books that we love. Today, we'll be talking about The Senator's Wife, and we'll be talking about it with the adorable Haylie Sunshine. I'm your host, Lauren Hogue. The Senator's Wife is a book about two women from two very different worlds. One is a professional soccer player, and one is the wife of a Republican senator. Their worlds collide on a stormy beach in South Carolina when our soccer star saves a drowning woman who, you guessed it, is the senator's wife. Haylie and I are both huge soccer fans and diehard Angel City fans, so we'll be talking a bit of NWSL news in the beginning as well. Thank you all for joining us in our little corner of the internet. You can support Lesbian Book Club by following us on Instagram and TikTok at Lesbian Book Club Pod, where we let you know the upcoming books we're going to cover so that you can read along with us. And we also post some funny clips from the podcast with visuals so you can all see us swooning and laughing and pining while we discuss these stories. Also, please give the podcast a follow and a rating if you feel so inclined on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening. We love to hear from you guys. So now it's time to jump right in. Welcome back, everybody, to our next episode of Lesbian Book Club. Here with me today, I have Haylie Sunshine. She's new to the podcast world, but she's going to do great. Haylie, will you introduce yourself for us?
Hi guys, I'm Haylie Sunshine. I'm a Taurus rising.
No. So close.
I'm a Taurus sun. I'm a Taurus sun and a Sagittarius moon.
Yes, and we don't know her rising because her birth certificate is just lost forever. Okay, we're recording this the day after Valentine's Day. So how was your Valentine's Day, Haylie?
It was so sweet. Well, I spent like a lot of it at work and I left covered in dirt. Yeah, and then I went, I got beautiful flowers for Valentine's Day, had some good quality time, ate some pho. Can't go wrong.
No, can't go wrong with pho.
Mm-mm.
It's so fun. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember. Is there a Valentine's Day in our book? I don't think there was one. Okay, well, speaking of Valentine's Day, we're going to jump right into our book. We will not hear about mine. What was really sad, because that's just the theme of my Valentine's Day, was June Endo blew out her ACL.
She did not.
She did. Which, what is going on? The ACL injuries in soccer right now are a nightmare. Yeah, so she's going to be out. She's season-ending injury list. Haylie is shocked. She's shocked. You didn't hear?
No, I didn't.
Of course not. You were having a great time on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Oh no, June.
I know. It's literally the worst. I'm so upset about it. She's so fun to watch play live. So that was why I was crying on Valentine's Day. That's what I'll say. So anyway, speaking of that, luckily our main character in the book, Alex, does not blow out her ACL. That's why we know it's a work of fiction. I was texting in like my soccer group chat, which I'll have to add you to. And one of my friends said, it'd just be really great if we just didn't have ACLs. I think that would be the route that we need to go down, is just not have any ACLs anymore.
Yeah. Like, what's the evolutionary advantage of us just having these things that are constantly blowing and then we're like,
Yeah.
I'm
Well, it's because of our damn womanly hips and the way they sit, because they're like, well, you can't see me, but like a V, like our hips and our pelvis are V, it's a lot of pressure on the knee. So that's why our ACLs versus like men's ACLs blow out all the time. I know. Also, it's got to be something with the training. I don't know what's going on, but there's just my knee.
Train your hamstrings, everyone. Don't just do squats.
Do squats too. We like a booty. But yeah, train your hamstrings according to Dr. Haylie.
That's right.
The book we read and we are just dying to talk about, we even had to like not text each other about it for the last couple of weeks because we were like, we got to save it for the podcast. But the book is called The Senator's Wife. It's written by Jen Lyon. And I have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed this book.
Mhm.
It's a big soccer book, lots of stuff from the NWSL adjacent, which we'll get into, which is going to be really fun. But Haylie, you're a big soccer fan. Do you
Yes.
want to tell me who's your favorite team? What's your relationship with soccer?
I'm an Angel City fan, ride or die. Yeah, I can't cheer for anybody else.
Yep.
I was there at their inception, so I will be there always. But yeah, I grew up playing soccer and it's fun to me.
Well, that's good. That's good. I love that. Okay, well, let's get into our book. I think this has so much good content. I think I cried like one or two times. I was shook so many times. We'll get
Mhm.
into that. I do want to put a slight trigger warning for domestic violence on
Mhm.
this. So if that's something, that won't be until much later in the episode, but just so everyone's aware, just be gentle with yourselves if that's something that triggers you. But let's get into it. Do you want to kick us off? Tell us where we start off on the book, setting, characters. Where are we?
Well, we start on a beautiful beach. And our main character is Alex, and she is a professional soccer player in the NWSL. She is in her mid 20s, and she is there with her best friend Caleb, who they've been best friends their entire lives. The thing that stuck out to me was that they were the only family that they had ever known because Alex's parents died in this plane crash when she was a kid. And he grew up with his mom was well, he was in foster care.
He's in foster care, yeah.
Yeah. So they bonded as kids over just being each other's family.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like, that's a really big, important friendship. And especially, I mean, it kind of develops later in the book, but Alex is a very introverted, um, I related to this a lot. She's a very introverted, kind of taking her time to internally process things sort of person.
Mm-hmm.
And so she really leans on Caleb, who's a very extroverted, out loud sort of person.
Yes.
So anyway, we begin on the beach with the two of them.
Yes. South Carolina. She plays for, is it South Carolina Sirens? Which I have to say, that's got to be North Carolina Courage, right? Like,
Yeah.
if we're gonna go adjacent here,
Yeah.
okay. There's a few references in here that I'm like, oh, I know what team that is, or I know what player
Yeah.
that is.
There's
Like,
so many parallels.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm so excited to talk about them.
Yeah.
So yeah, she plays for South Carolina Sirens, aka North Carolina Courage, which if you follow the NWSL is a big they win a lot of the shields, they win a lot of the titles, like one of the top teams. Not for long because Angel City's coming for you. But yes, so we start off in a little island in South Carolina. I don't remember the name. And Caleb and Alex are on the beach and
There is a storm. And well, they had been watching this boat.
yes. Which I have to say, I have a note in my notes that says, man, this author knew a lot about boats. I was like, I had to look up like 14 different words, and finally I realized, like, oh, these are just boat words.
Jen is down with her boat vocabulary.
Extremely. Yeah, they've been watching this boat, and I think Caleb goes back to take a nap or something like that, leaving just Alex. And Alex sees this crazy storm. It's blowing this boat around, and she sees the boat. I don't know what the word capsize means. I think that's what happened
Just
with the boat.
tip over.
Ooh.
For the listeners, not with the visuals, the motion I just did was like a
A spider on a ceiling falling off.
just a swift tip
Of the boat.
into under the water.
But they're by rocks. It's a whole thing. And there's a woman on the boat who we will meet. She's going to be one of our main characters. Her name is Catherine.
Mhm.
And when I think of Catherine, I think Kate Blanchett.
Yes.
Like immediately, she's like an older 40s
Yes.
woman, striking, very regal.
Yes.
We'll get there. Also, if you want a visual for Alex, look no further than Haylie Sunshine right here. Casting directors,
Yeah.
Jen.
I have some things to say to you about that.
If we do cast Kate Blanchett, I would like to be on set. Just I'll hide. I don't even care. I just want to look at her just for a second because I just feel like that would make my life. Also, I'm rocking my Ali Krieger fan club shirt for anyone who wants to know because a little birdie told me that Alex is actually inspired by Ali Krieger. I have bones to pick with that though because I don't think they're very much alike.
I don't think they are that much like either.
When we get into the astrology at the end, because we're going to profile our characters, Haley's going to do her best. We had to do her birth chart this morning, but she's going to do her best. Ali Krieger is a Leo, and Alex is not a Leo. We actually did get a birthday in this. Okay, anyway, back to the story. Alex sees this boat capsize and a woman in the water, and she's hit the rocks. So I'm pretty sure she's unconscious. And Alex just darts out there.
Yeah.
She darts out there. Apparently is an amazing swimmer.
Yeah.
I mean, she's an elite athlete. Of
Yeah.
course, she's going to be a good swimmer. And ends up pulling Catherine out of the water. They're like close to drowning. I think if Alex had been like a minute later or like had even hesitated, then I think Catherine would have been a goner.
Yeah. It's so hard to see somebody in the ocean when it's just calm.
Think about from Montana. How do you know that?
Because I go to the beach.
But yeah, no, it's so true.
Yeah.
I don't know how lifeguards do it.
Yeah, when it's all wavy and gray and stormy and whatever, and then, she's unconscious. She's not, waving her arms around.
Yeah.
Alex really did that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's insane. So Alex pulls her to shore, I think to like one of the piers, and now Caleb shows up.
Yeah. And men's timing impeccable.
Oh, well. His timing is gonna be one to talk about later. But yeah, saves Catherine's life. They take her back to, I think, how did they find her house?
Well, she then becomes conscious enough to tell them that house there, and it was this huge grand house that they had been kind of looking at earlier and being like, oh my gosh, look at that fancy house.
What's that house doing there? Yes. So they take her back to this giant house, very like plantation-esque type house, which we find out later, or I guess which we find out is exactly what it is, because Catherine is married to a senator from South Carolina named Carlton Cleveland.
Yeah, doesn't that name just inspire like evil little shivers?
Yeah,
up your spine.
Cleveland. Ugh. You know who I think this may have been based off of real life? Lindsey Graham.
I'm gonna disappoint you and tell you that I don't know who that is.
That's fine. We don't need to talk about him. He is basically Voldemort, so shall not be named. Okay. But he is a senator from South Carolina, and he's terrible. But anyway, not to get into politics, which I will happily do, but not right now. Basically, Catherine comes in. They're coming in. They're soaking wet, and basically, Carlton does not give a fuck. He does not care that his wife almost just had a near-death incident. Doesn't care who these people are there because they're hosting an event for fundraising for politicians, and just doesn't care. He's more pissed about the interruption than anything. And Catherine's like bleeding. I think she has like a head wound. Yeah. And it's just this whole thing. Carlton trying to rush Caleb and Alex out, just does not care. But Catherine, who is ever the diplomat, is like, no, we need to invite them to dinner later. We have to say thank you. Like, this woman saved my life. So Carlton does acquiesce to that. That made me feel like Keira Knightley, Pirates of the Caribbean. What is it? I acquiesce to your request or whatever. But yeah, so she does set up a dinner for the next day for Alex and Caleb. One thing that I noticed was that Alex, when they were kids, had really only, and throughout her adult life up to this point, had only ever really felt seen by Caleb. Yeah. And at this point, starting with them being on the beach, he's starting to show her some attention that's different than what she has been used to from him their entire lives. Yeah. And all of a sudden, she no longer feels seen by him. And it now feels uncomfortable. And she has this
she actually has this physical reaction to him, where at one point it says that her stomach muscles tighten.
Mm.
Uh, and when she said that, I was like, oh girl, felt like the amount of times that a friend relationship just changes and you're
Shifts,
like,
yeah.
but that's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I just so felt for her in that moment. And what I really noticed later on in the book was the stark contrast between the way that she is now not feeling seen with Caleb and the way that she just so completely feels seen by Catherine.
In a completely different way. Which, spoiler alert, this is lesbian book club. It does go in that direction if you didn't know. But yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, you just feel that like small shift and it's like, oh, nothing's gonna be the same now. We can't keep it the way it's always been.
Yeah. I also notice on the beach, she's having this anxiety about being away from training. And it's almost, all that she can focus on. And I really picked up on that. I I used to date an NWSL player.
Oh, shout out. We're going there. I wasn't gonna ask about it. I wasn't gonna ask about it because I was like, well, maybe she'll want to keep that private, but
I will leave her nameless for her privacy. Some of you may know.
you would recognize the name, I'm sure.
I picked this out because I was like, oh, I know that. I know that anxiety of being away from training. I know the cutthroat nature of the NWSL. I know that, if you're away, somebody else is working at getting better and, your spot is threatened all the time.
Right.
So I saw that in her and I went, oh, that's big. That's real.
Yeah.
Later, with Catherine,
Yep.
she doesn't have it. She has the initial thoughts of anxiety. She has the, what about training? And then it goes away. As soon as she's with Catherine, they're in their own world. It's just the two of them. She's not worrying about it anymore.
It's like a safety.
It's
almost like having enough of a safety to be like, I don't need to worry about that right now. I'm going to be present in the moment. Like Alex, I feel like is not very present a lot of the time because she's so worried and anxious, and which tells me she's not a Leo. So that's why I'm like,
Yeah. I think that's one of the really special things about finding somebody that you're really compatible with and that you know, feel very safe with and seen is that a lot of that anxiety, because I'm a very anxious person, a lot of that anxiety can just kind of fade into the background and you can be so present. And that is really happening for her when she's with Catherine. I think Jen did a very nice job because I picked up on that.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk a little bit about Catherine before we get into the dinner where Carlton and Catherine host Caleb and Alex at their plantation house in South Carolina to thank them for saving Catherine's life, which really Catherine's going to be the only one thanking them. Catherine comes from a very elite family in England. She is British, and it reminds me of how the British royal family works because the kids are meant to be ornaments. They're meant to do their duty, fill their job, complete the tasks, be seen and not heard. So Catherine very much grew up in a very seen and not heard, do what you're told type of household, but also incredibly wealthy. Incredibly wealthy. And this comes into play. She ends up becoming the CEO of a large shipping company that is her father's. And Catherine it's very much hinted at, and we'll get more into it once we get further along. But Catherine's relationship with her father is incredibly strained. We do see a lot of parallels with Carlton and Catherine's father. And then as the book progresses, Caleb. They're all cut from the same cloth. They're all the exact same type of man archetype, whatever you want to call it. They're very into gendered roles. They think that, men rule the world and should be doing the hard sports and should be traveling around and just having all the power, and that the women are there to basically serve them. Caleb doesn't start out that way, but power and fame just really can go to someone's head.
Yeah.
And it's like if those traits were underlying there, they're going to come out even more under the pressure of that like type of life. Proximity to power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, exactly. And we'll see that a lot with Caleb and we'll discuss it more. There's a birthday party. We'll get there. That's gonna be fun to talk about. When they come back for dinner, Carlton's whole thing is like, we have to get them to keep quiet.
Yeah.
They can't talk about this because if the press finds out, it's just going to be a shit show. And we don't need that press because, spoiler, Carlton is going to be trying to run for the Republican nomination for president. Going back to the gendered roles, Alex and Catherine go out to the balcony for tea. And Carlton and Caleb go to the study for whiskey. And man, alcohol is quite a drug. Like, we see that Carlton probably has a problem with it. He gets belligerent every time he has alcohol. Again, all those nasty traits that like live in someone just come up.
Bubbling
up. They bubble up right over the surface. So we see that happen, and Catherine be flirting. She is flirting hard with Alex, and this is where it's kind of like, oh, Catherine has like experience. Like where Alex, it doesn't seem like has any type of inkling that she likes women. Catherine, Catherine's got game. Catherine is putting it on Alex a little bit. On the balcony, Alex is talking about her career, which is something she's actually comfortable talking about. She's not really comfortable talking about herself or anything like that. But she mentions to Catherine that they've made the playoffs 5 years running and that they should make it like another in the next coming season. And Catherine's just like, oh, must be like a testament to your talent. And it's like, ooh, you don't even know anything about soccer. You're not saying that from like a place of like knowing she's one of the best players in the NWSL. You're flirting.
Yeah. That's a move.
For sure.
Yeah. I wrote down their first impressions of each other.
Ooh, tell us.
With, Catherine like fully conscious and not like a drowned rat.
Oh God, Haylie and rats and Haylie and rodents. That's such a backstory. Oh, she's ready to talk.
I got a rodent for Valentine's Day.
What? Not a real rodent.
A fake rodent.
Okay.
With a turtle backpack. Yeah.
Nothing more to say. What type of rodent was it?
A capybara, which, do I know if that's a true classified rodent?
Yes.
Probably. I trust my Valentine's judgment on that. Also, I don't really truly care about if things are truly rodents. I care about if they feel like a rodent.
Yeah. We know. Well, we
who were present at the time of my rodent presentation, no.
I mean, I did happen again. I forgot to say again, even though it's in the previous episodes, I'm a Capricorn sun, Pisces moon, Aquarius rising. So I, of course, hosted a PowerPoint presentation party for my birthday, and Haley's presentation was rodents. She ranked them and other animals she thought should be rodents.
Yeah.
So it was a good presentation, but yeah, I'm so happy you got a little capybara stuffed animal.
Thank you.
So cute.
Yeah.
How did we get here? Oh, she looked like a drowned rat.
Yeah.
First impressions.
First impressions. Okay. Catherine felt a sense of self-consciousness take hold. Alex is making her shy, which that's a big difference between the self-consciousness that she felt around Carlton.
Yes.
Because Carlton makes her feel self-conscious in a way of like she is controlling her every action because she's walking on eggshells.
Yes.
She's self-conscious around Alex because she likes her. She's
nervous. She's so nervous. I actually have a quote about that, but continue. I'll read the quote after.
Catherine thinking about Alex. She remembered a soothing hand placed on her back, another holding her hair back from her face as she retched out the contents of the sea. All she remembers from her traumatic experience of drowning is Alex's touch.
Yeah.
Like, hello.
Whoa.
That's a sign.
Yes.
Okay. Alex's first impression of Catherine was, and I quote, "She smiled as she approached with none of the coldness of her surroundings." Plantation house. Her voice was low, vibrant, with no sign of the weak, debilitated struggle from the previous afternoon. But as the woman swept gracefully onto the marble entry, her eyes finding Alex's with the warmth of a smile, she felt some of her trepidation alleviate. There was a genuineness to her demeanor, a cordiality that expelled the hostility of the hall. She was a stunning woman, the kind of woman who illuminated a room, who drew attention to herself without ever even trying. The kind of woman that belonged to the glamour of the silver screen, the cover of the latest fashion magazine, the lavish luxury of a southern plantation mansion. So Alex is in awe of her from the very beginning. She associates Catherine with warmth.
Yeah.
Also, I was thinking about this. So she describes her voice as low, which have you seen on TikTok? They're talking about the lesbian accent.
No, but okay, I can already guess what this is because I have actually like it's so funny. Okay, tell us what it is because I think that I have like figured that out by my own voice. Because when I talk to like right now, I would say I'm using it. Like I'm using my like lower register because that's actually like my normal voice. I
Uh-huh.
think as women we've been like conditioned to like talk like this and like have an uppity thing to seem less abrupt or whatever. But like when you like, I mean, I could be totally wrong. This is I literally figured it out like McDonald's when I was like driving through the drive-through, and I was like, I don't feel like talking to this person in my uppity voice. So like, can I please get my large? And I was like, oh my god, I sound great. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it is that pretty much. But basically they're saying that yeah, the lesbian accent is dropped down, it's low. Whatever else I didn't really,
Well, it's
retain.
it's like when you're flirting with women, you don't like if you're a friend, I would like to you, Haley, I'd be like,
Mhm.
oh my god, you're so pretty.
Yeah.
But like if I was hitting on you, I'd be like, you're really beautiful.
Yes.
That's that's what
It's
I feel like it
you
is.
drop the hey girl, like you don't put the
Yes.
girl. It's just like hey.
Yeah.
It's yeah, you know.
Just dropped to zero.
Yeah. Yeah, like you have to just the voice smooths out,
Yeah.
gets lower. And so she's noticing about Catherine that her voice is low, but it's also vibrant at the same time. Like, come on, Catherine's throwing vibes at her.
For
My
sure.
God. Okay.
And even in this like first meeting when they're like having tea and actually talking, they do start like not sharing their traumas like, you know, lesbians like to do on a first date.
Yeah.
But they do start talking about like a feeling of being, you know, Alex is talking about soccer and how it sometimes can feel overwhelming and it's like enclosed. And I'm gonna read this is I call it a gut punchline. Catherine did not tell her being closed in had nothing to do with where you live. That closed in was what came from a series of life choices, and that every choice you made concreted the path along the way. That each choice, big or small, affected your happiness and affected your freedom. And I think this is where we realize, oh, like Catherine's for sure, something has happened. Catherine's in the closet, 100%. Like, whether by choice, whether by circumstance, but that line to me, I was like, oh, there's a bigger backstory here than what we're getting.
Yeah.
And I think that Catherine like sees it in Alex. Like I think she like I mean her gaydar is obviously pretty good, even with Alex not knowing. But I think Catherine is like, oh, this girl with what she's saying, I can resonate. I can relate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved that line, especially because I wholeheartedly believe that honestly living as exactly who you are equals freedom,
Yes.
equals happiness.
Yes.
Anything less than that, you're always going to be a little owie.
Yeah, a little ouch. Like
Yeah.
there's always going to be something there. You're not if you're hiding something, if you're hiding who you are in any way, any capacity, it doesn't feel good. It's going to be an internalized shame.
Mm-hmm.
And to live with that is
Yeah.
horrendous.
Yeah. And that's not to say I understand that there's a lot of circumstances where somebody might not be safe or that you know there's a lot of outstanding circumstances, but I think that this applies to so many things that it's,
Yep.
I don't know, I believe it.
Okay, so they go to dinner. Basically,
Yeah.
they have this dinner. We don't even need to talk about it that much because it's just the men talking, Catherine, Alex exchanging looks, blah, blah, blah. And I wrote down that Alex can't control herself and when she talks to Catherine after the dinner, and she's basically like saying, "Why is your husband such an ass?
Yeah.
Like he's such an ass. He didn't even care about you, your physical condition, nothing. He was just like, you guys are gonna shut up, right? You guys are gonna be quiet, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Which they do agree to because
Yeah.
they have no reason
Yeah.
for any of that to come to light. Like, what is Alex gonna do? What's Caleb gonna do? Nothing. They don't care.
Yeah. Also,
Yes.
I have Catherine's first impression of Alex.
Oh, please enlighten us.
Alex, this is a lot that I'm not going to read, but Alex, even without knowing Catherine, felt very seen by her right off the bat.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting, like when someone looks at you and you're like, oh, you're looking at my soul.
Yes.
Like you're looking into me.
Yes.
And I know that you can see parts of me
Yeah.
that like other people don't see.
Yes, and it can feel it can feel uncomfortable, but
It's
like in a
vulnerable.
good way. It's
Yeah.
vulnerable.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So they're both seeing each other.
Yes. And Catherine is thinking about Alex. Yet, even with her nervousness, and despite her clear discomfort in her surroundings, she maintained a quiet air about her, a stillness and reserve Catherine found refreshing. She was a pleasant enigma, a bit of a mystery. And then she continues on and she says, the girl's color deepened, a warm flush traveling up her cheeks. She was naturally pretty, dark hair, intelligent hazel eyes, smooth skin bronzed by sunshine. Lithe in the way only an athlete can be, there was nothing synthetic about her. No plastered on facade, no attempt at a pretense to hide her uncertainty. Just a shyness that lent her a certain charm, the subtle presence of humility. And I liked the line of the no attempt at a pretense to hide her uncertainty.
Yeah.
Because there's something so refreshing about a person that like when they don't know, they just ask. That's vulnerable too.
Yeah.
Like you're opening yourself up to let another person judge you for not knowing something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the comfortableness of like this person isn't going to judge me.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
I love their relationship. I think it's so sweet. I have to say, in my opinion, this is a book of earth signs. I'm so positive that both of these women are Capricorns. But that's a spoiler. We'll get into more of that. But it's just, they're both very grounded people. And I think when you have two, I mean, we're both two earth signs sitting here. I just feel like it's easy to converse. Like it's easy to talk back and forth. It's easy to stay on a topic. It's easy to get into a topic. And it's like a shared vulnerability of just, we're good. We're fine. We're grounded. We're not going to judge each other. We're just here. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
We're going off the island. We are back in the NWSL season, and there is a game in Portland. Now, this is the Portland. Do you remember their name? It's the Portland Thorns. Let's not get it wrong. Let's not get it twisted. It's Portland Thorns versus South Carolina, aka North Carolina. Two of the top teams in the NWSL historically, and it's 0-0, 75th minute. Portland subs in a veteran winger. Please tell me you know who the veteran winger for the Portland Thorns in real life, not the book. You don't know? It's Tobin Heath. Come on, Haylie. Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure this is Tobin Heath. We'll get Jen Lyon on the phone and ask her. Tobin Heath scores. Caleb is not at this game, and Alex feels relieved. Again, we like felt that shift in their relationship on Caleb's end, and Caleb would normally come to all her games and everything, and he's not there, so she's very relieved. But Alex gets a note in the tunnel, and this is bold in my opinion, so bold.
Catherine's bold.
Yeah. And we don't see that from Alex. We don't see Alex as bold until I'm like 4 pages down. We'll see Alex be a little
for a
bold.
while, yeah.
Yeah. But the letter that she gives to one of Alex's teammates who passes on to her, which lucky for sure that happened, said, I'm in the area, great match, dinner. Like, and the only way she had, I don't know if she had her number on there, I don't remember, but like, how did she know it was Catherine? Like did she see her, or was it the description that her teammate gave? She was like, oh, that's Catherine.
I think it was the description.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I feel like Alex is not just out and about socializing.
No.
Who else is it gonna be?
Yeah, seriously. In the area. Like, okay. In Portland, who does she know in Portland? Like, no one.
No. Yeah.
So it's really funny. Alex texts Catherine and is like, yeah, like, let's go to dinner. And I thought this was so funny. Catherine pulls up to the stadium to pick up Alex in like her Porsche and was like, care for a lift. And all I could think about was Regina George. Like pulling, get in, loser. We're going shopping. Like, I don't know why. It was definitely not that vibe. But in my head, as I'm like seeing it, she like pulls up, care for a lift. And I was just like, that's so funny. But they do, and they end up actually going to the sports bar in Portland, which I have to say is that the sports bra, the actual Portland like women's sports bar. I was like, I hope it is like a nod to the sports bra.
It must be.
It's gotta be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And all her teammates are there.
Yeah.
So now we get an introduction to some of Alex's friends and teammates. You want to talk about Sawyer?
Yes, I do want to talk about Sawyer. Abby Sawyer. So she is Alex's best friend. She is on her team. And Abby Sawyer is also a bold person. She kind of balances out Alex, I would say.
They're complete opposites.
Yeah, I think she's kind of the one in the pair that would be the first to jump off the bridge and then drag Alex along with her. You know?
For sure.
But she's very bold. I also think she's a very comforting presence to Alex.
Yeah.
I think Alex would look for her in a room.
Yes, she's someone Alex can hide behind. Let's like be honest.
Yes.
Like
yes.
I love my fire sign, air sign friends. Because if I'm tired and I don't want to talk or socialize, I'm just gonna stand next to them.
Abby is an African American young woman. She here's the quote. And the context for this is that HEG, which is the organization that is pursuing Alex to come play in California.
They're like a PR type, like it's like a brand deal. It's kind of like Nike or Adidas, but like a big PR company who, I mean, the NWSL players do not make enough money. They don't make any money. The only place the money is the brands.
Yeah.
So it's basically a big brand company that is very much pursuing Alex. I even have that written down. Like they love her all-American, good girl, Bible thumping, upbringing.
Yes. Yeah. So there's an expansion team being built in California. And
this was written before Bay Area, Bay FC. So I'm pretty sure this was referencing
to Angel City.
Angel City? Also, they're called the Sirens. Angels, sirens, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so sorry, Abby.
So, HEG does not want Abby, which raised an alarm for Alex because she was like, hello, why wouldn't you want Abby? Abby is kind of an all-star superstar player.
She's on the national team.
She's on the national team. Alex, at this point, not on the national team. So she's like, okay, why are they pursuing me and not Abby? Well, here's why. But aside from being Black and coming from a drug-ravaged Skid Row in Chicago, where her mom had OD'd when she was 12, forcing her to raise her 5-year-old brother on the streets, she was also an outspoken civil rights advocate and out and proud lesbian, unafraid to stand up for what she believed in. So...
I love that. Abby. We love Abby.
Yeah, she absolutely feels like the kind of woman that we would see in the NWSL.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, even going back to the game, Jen Lyon has a nod to I think she even calls it the WLW, like, crowd. Like, the women loving women crowd. Like, it's everyone there. And we'll see that in other games as well. But I love how she captures the atmosphere of what it is to go to an NWSL game. Like, yeah, obviously there's people there who are not gay, but it's a lot of gay women at these events. And that reflects the demographic of the players as well. Like, we want to go root for our people. We want to, like, support women, whatever type of woman you are.
Yeah. Yeah, and Abby is very supportive of everything that Alex does. And she tells Alex, like, don't turn this opportunity down for my sake. She said, I'll box your ears if you don't do it.
Right. It's
Um,
a fabulous opportunity.
yeah, they were gonna pay her a lot of money. They're gonna, basically blast her image and her name everywhere.
Yep.
Make her one of the most high profile players in the
Very
United
Alex
States.
Morgan-esque,
Yes.
very Kristen Press.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like the face of women's soccer.
Exactly.
That's what this company has the power to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the cost of that is that with this contract that she signs, she kind of signs over the right to express herself. They have very conservative values, and this doesn't necessarily reflect what Alex believes. And obviously, it's contradictory to the very being of her best friend,
Right.
Abby Sawyer,
Right.
who Black, lesbian, coming from poor background, yeah, like all of these things about her, they're saying no. Like
We don't like that.
We don't like that. We're not okay with you as a human being.
Yeah.
Which awful.
Yeah.
And so Alex, that's not sitting right with her.
And all of this is like being discussed at the bar in
Yes.
much less detail than we're going into. But it's also being discussed in front of Catherine.
Yeah.
So Catherine owns a multinational global shipping company. Like, she knows all about contracts, she knows about everything. Catherine is so fucking smooth. So this is giving, again, very Kate Blanchett vibes of like in Carol, where like if this older woman is like talking to you, like, okay, Kate Blanchett, Bet from The L Word, which Haley hasn't seen. Segue. I was like talking to her about my dream last night because Bet was in it, and she was like, I don't know who that is, and I was like, that was literally my gay awakening.
My gay awakening was the fish in Shark Tales.
The one with the big lips.
Yeah.
Incredible. This really speaks to who you are, Haley. Rodents and fish from Shark Tales. So basically, Catherine is like, do you want to come to my hotel and like discuss your contract? The kitchen never closes. And Alex is like nervous, but she accepts. And I have this quote because again, Alex is having a lot of reservations, and Catherine is kind of saying like, go for it. And I think we're also seeing Catherine and what she has gone through, where she has had to accept deals and accept things that she didn't want to accept, but it furthered her career. So she says to Alex, having reservations about the weight of expectations placed upon you is a far step from ungrateful, but more importantly, it's a fundamental responsibility you owe to yourself as a person. I think you will find I'm very understanding when it comes to feeling the pressures of expectations and the weight of its constant scrutiny from the world around you. She's kind of advising her, like, I understand that this goes against your like moral code and moral compass, but sometimes like in order to get what you want, you kind of have to put that to the side. Which
Yeah.
I agree with her. With I would do that. And
Yeah,
again, like I
yeah.
think both these women are Capricorns, and that's why I feel like they have such a like moral issue with some of these. I'm not saying other signs don't have moral issues. I'm just saying it's a little more like to your sense of self to go against your like moral compass on this end.
Which I want to talk about. There's no such thing as one-way liberation. What would happen if nobody engaged with HEG or organizations like HEG? What if they all just...
The problem with that though is the people who aren't around. Okay, I don't know how much we want to like call out, but like if you had a girl from the Utah expansion team right now who was offered something with HEG, like they are not around a diverse group of women that they have connections with where they see the humanity of other intersections, right? So it's not even on the forefront of their mind. They're like, this is a great deal. I have nothing against any of these things. I align with all of these different clauses, morality clauses and things like that, right? We live in LA. We're exposed to tons of different people, and exposure is what makes people tolerant.
Yeah.
And so it's, for one, like, of course, in an ideal world, no one should work with HEG and their shitty fucking tactics and morals and things like that. But some people don't even have an understanding of what else is there and why it's harmful.
That is true. It's just so frustrating. And like back to that freedom thing, it's now affecting more than just the individual.
100%.
You know, like now spoilers, she signs with them.
Yes, she does.
And now that she has signed and she is this big face for this brand that openly has these morality clauses and that, you know, like touts these values, there's all of these people that see that and they go like, oh, Alex Gray thinks these things.
Mm-hmm.
And all these little girls that like maybe they like girls and they're thinking like, oh, but Alex Gray thinks this, or like, you know, all of these just and now maybe there's Abby Sawyer back home who's secretly inside thinking, well, I thought that, you know, even though I told her that she could go do it, like I kind of thought that maybe she wouldn't.
Yeah, maybe she would stand up for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just there's no such thing as one-way liberation, and being yourself and being true to yourself, it's never going to only affect you. It will have this it'll have
far-reaching consequences.
Yeah, it'll just keep going and going with waves past people, you know? So I think that was what was so devastating for me about her choosing to do that.
Yeah, I knew she was going to do it.
I know, I knew she was too. Otherwise, they wouldn't have.
It wouldn't even been an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, even in this morality clause, that she can't drink in public.
Yeah.
She can't obviously have any type of relationship with a woman in public, which we're not even there yet. Then you know, she's still figuring that out with herself. But yeah, it's very finite. It's how you act, and it's a 1-year contract. So. Yeah. That gives us kind of a base starting point.
Yeah. Yeah. I also want to add to that quote that you had from Catherine, because I wrote down too something that she told Alex. She said, never allow someone or something to control you for too long because the habit becomes difficult to break, not on their end, but on your own. And that was another, what did you call it before? The quote that like hit you? What did you call that?
Oh, a gut punchline.
Yeah, to me, that was a gut punchline.
Yes, because it's true. I mean, habits are called habits for a reason. And even ones that are not imposed on yourself, once you're doing them for an extended period of time, once you're living in secret, once you're doing whatever it is, it's harder to break because it's your norm, right?
Yeah.
Like, and ooh, that is a gut punchline. You're so right. We're chapter 19. Catherine, all I have written down is Catherine gets a call from Carlton and says, she's done. She's over this marriage. She doesn't want to be part of it anymore. How do you think that came about?
Well, Lauren, I think that we have a slow burn romance on our hands.
I think we have a slow burn romance as well. I think Catherine is watching someone go through the exact same thing that she went through as a young girl, and is basically being like, don't do what I did. Let me help you not do what I did. And in doing that is like, oh, fuck. Like, I can't give the advice that I'm not going to take.
Yeah. I think she's also having this moment of like, oh, shit, I have one life.
Yeah.
And I have been wasting it on this man who can't even step over the bar that's on the fucking ground.
The ground. The bar is non-existent.
Yeah. Yeah. And he is still tripping on it.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I feel about it. But I think she is finally starting to feel alive.
Yeah.
And when you start to feel that way, it becomes impossible to live a life that is not up to your standards.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think she's finally getting, like, for lack of a better phrase, some balls. Yeah, I think she feels, like, electrified.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, I'd rather be burned than continue to be numb.
She's been dormant.
Oh, good word.
She's awakening.
She's awake. There's a volcano about to erupt. Yeah, and actually, an interesting parallel is Carlton and Catherine. Catherine tells Carlton, I'm done. And in the very next chapter, Caleb tells Alex, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
So we see a back-to-back of like the end of one relationship and possibly the start of another one, because Catherine and Alex haven't said anything to each other. There's not been any like expression of like, I like you, what are we gonna do about it? Because Alex is I think Alex has a lot of like internalized homophobia.
Yeah.
Even back at the sports bra, like, or sports bar, I'm calling it the sports bra now. I had a quote up here earlier, but she was basically saying to Sawyer, like, I'm not a lesbian, but like, how do I like defend myself, as if that's something to be defended, like, without antagonizing my friend, right? Even though we both know it's nothing to be offended by.
No.
But Alex has that, again, she was raised by Baptist preachers. Like, she has that internalized hatred.
Yeah.
And that's something she definitely is going to have to work through.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of, she spent her life being the golden child. I very much related to this with her, especially with this whole discovering her sexuality and identity thing, because I too grew up very much the golden child, getting all the like perfect grades. Yeah, I'm sure you absolutely identify with this. And like her, I grew up in a small town. I grew up in a very rural area that was also pretty conservative. And I didn't even know that gay was an option. Until I hit high school. And which is absolutely insane, considering my next door neighbor, who I hung out with all the time, was a full adult lesbian with a partner, and I just thought that it was her friend that lived there. So that's insane. But like, I had a crush on a couple girls in high school, and it couldn't be me.
Nope.
Not allowed. I could not do that.
That's a problem for future.
That would be definitely fine for someone else.
Yes. Yeah.
For sure. Like, I don't have an issue with that.
Right.
For me, though, not allowed.
Not allowed. Can't do that. Yes.
Yeah.
That's so I think that's exactly what's happening to her. Yes, that's oh my God. I think that's like a very universal experience. Even like still, I again, living in LA, I think we are 30 years further in like our understanding and acceptance of things than like literally the rest of America. And yeah, my first time I was like, I'm gay. I think I was laying in bed and I was like 16. And like, I literally rallied for like No on Prop 8 with my sign and everything in high school, because I was like, yeah, totally. Like, that's totally fine for everyone else. And I just remember thinking, when I had that thought come across my mind so clearly, I was like, your life will be hard. Never mind.
Yeah.
Like, and then I went on, like, met my now ex-husband and married him.
Yeah.
And he was nice to me. And I was like, great. Problem for future me, which it definitely became a problem. Much like it becomes a problem for Alex, much like it becomes a problem for Catherine, much like it probably became a problem for you. It's such a universal experience of like, I'm okay with like homosexuality, gay people, whatever it is. I'm like, I would never hold anyone back. But for me, especially talking in this context of like high achiever, soccer star, like all these, like, we're doing all the things, right? Hitting all the things. For me, as I got older, it was like, get married, have the babies, stay at home. Like, I'm doing all the things, but I'm not happy. Why am I not happy? And it's like, oh, well, let's go back to like our actual true identity. Again, like we were talking about with, not living truthfully, it becomes a problem. Whether it's a problem when you're 16 or it's a problem when you're 25 or it's a problem for Catherine when she's 40.
Yeah.
Like, it just becomes a whole thing.
Yeah.
So anyway. Okay, so Caleb tells Alex that he loves her. And you know what? This scene kind of reminded me of in Little Women with Joe and Lori.
Oh, like, that's my favorite movie.
It's my favorite movie.
This was, I think, the first time we ever hung out, we talked about this.
Yes, at the wine bar. Oh my God. We were like, no, these are our favorite movies. You know, when, like, speaking for the movie, not the book, but when Joe and Lloyd, they're on this, like, planes with the beautiful fall. And Lori's like, we have to have it out, Joe. And Joe's like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Please don't do it. And he's like, we have to. Everyone expects it of us. That's what this reminded me of.
She describes it as an insurmountable weight being forced upon her.
That girl is gay.
Yeah. One she wasn't certain how to escape. And the stability of her world came crashing down around her.
React to someone telling you they love you.
No, it's not. And she feared something was breaking that could not be fixed no matter how hard she tried. Oh my God. The way my heart broke.
That's heartbreaking.
The way my heart broke. I know that feeling. So
well, everyone's in love with Haylie, so she definitely knows that feeling. I'm like, do I tell them how when I post you on my stories, I have women sliding into my DMs asking about her? And I'm like, yes, she's beautiful, guys. I know. You could also like get to know her. You don't have to ask me about it, but okay.
You would hear a lot about rats. So take that into careful consideration.
Before shooting your shot with Amy. She likes rats, guys. I have a pet rat. Apparently that's a white person thing.
I'm a little bit scared of them. I watch them from a distance.
They're so sweet. Have you not seen Ratatouille?
No, I love Ratatouille. Here's the thing. I love to go to New York and watch the rats in the subways. I love to go for rat girl walks. I love to think about rats. I just don't like to be close to them in person because their tails freak me out.
They are creepy. That's definitely true. Are they like lizards where they can like regrow their tail?
I don't think so.
Okay. You are the rat expert. That's why I asked you. We talked so much about rats in this podcast so far.
You need to rename it Rat Girl Podcast.
Rat Girl Podcast. Coming at you. Haylie and I will just talk about rats. I love you so much. So we switch back to Catherine and Carlton again at another fancy dinner. And because they're in public, Catherine knows she has a little bit more leeway to kind of speak her mind a little bit. And basically asks Carlton for a divorce in the middle of this restaurant. And he like leans in and he says, I will destroy you, you little bitch. And I was like, oh. And if there's anything that's like a precursor to violence for me, it's like, not to me, but like my understanding of like, oh, this person is going to be violent is the willingness to like dehumanize someone and to call someone like your wife in public, you little bitch. Like that's so dehumanizing. And Catherine, this is the boldest thing she's done in this book so far. She reached across that table and smacked him across the face. Holy shit. When I read that, I was like, oh, she's gonna get it. Like, this is a violent man, I can tell. Like, we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
But I was scared for her life in that instant.
We were talking earlier about why Catherine is having this turning point.
Yeah.
This quote here says, it was the lack of respect, the endless belittling and bullying, and utter disregard for her as a human being that she would not tolerate for a single moment longer. And I think that feeling and experiencing Alex and her energy and the way that Alex is treating her made being around Carlton unbearable.
Unbearable, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the perfect word for it. She couldn't stand it any longer when there was now another option.
Yeah.
So, that was very scary.
So, Alex and Catherine meet up for a drink after this whole divorce debacle.
Yes.
And they're playing a game where they each agree to ask each other 3 questions, any question that they want. Like, nothing's off limits here. Okay. And a question gets brought up. Catherine asks Alex, what is the best decision you have ever made?
Oh, this is where we see Alex is smooth for the first time. She's learning from Catherine.
Catherine expected her to say something about her soccer career or her education. And instead, Alex said, jumping into the sea to help a stranger.
That's so cute. Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
I have that written down too.
Yeah. So Catherine this whole time has been trying to like maintain control of this conversation. She has been trying to not let these questions get too deep. I think there's, a level of fear here about the intimacy of this.
Yeah.
And
I also don't think Catherine knows whether Alex is like into her or not, or whether Alex is like willing to even admit it to herself. So I think she's like playing it close to her chest. Like, yes, it's giving her the like chutzpah to take charge of her life in a certain way, but she's not sure whether to go for it.
Yeah.
But now.
Yeah, she's given her this little sign. And in this moment, Catherine kind of loses control of the conversation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, she also continues to lose control of the conversation because Alex comes back with her third question.
Which is?
So, okay, well, hold on, let's backtrack. Because I believe Alex asks if Catherine has ever been in love. And
that's right.
Catherine says yes, but like obviously it's not with Carlton. And Alex saves her last question for a few hours later. Because lesbian dates go on for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, like minimum 8.
Yeah, minimum 8 hours, if not the whole weekend. Which we love. So why not? We're enjoying each other. It's fine.
Yeah.
But basically, Alex's third question is, was it a woman that you were in love with? And Catherine shushed Alex with her finger to her lips. Was like, shh. What? What is that answer? That's not an answer.
The silence is loud.
I don't even know if did she answer? Because I don't think she answered, because I wrote down that Alex is going to be confused and in for a ride because she never even thought about herself attracted to a woman. But like in this instance, she's like, oh shit, Catherine is like into women. Whether Catherine answered or not, it was very clear.
Yeah. Yeah. And also they've had this intimacy the whole night, like with these questions. Now they're walking on the dock, right? At this point when she asked that question.
Yes.
And they were sharing cups.
Yeah.
At dinner.
Yeah.
They're already swapping mouth germs, people. Like, come on.
They're like, oh, let me taste yours. Let me taste yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex even says that she wants to kiss her and think it would be so easy, but the tension gets broken. I don't know if something like someone walks up and like the tension's broken. They walk home. Catherine invites her to tea, and Alex freaks the fuck out. I literally wrote down, Alex said she can't, and all the homophobia flashed before her eyes. Like, she had confidence. She like literally wanted to kiss this woman, but then like was like snapped back into reality.
Yeah.
And was like, oh fuck. Like, no, never mind. And like, nope, I can't. Because if she had gone up for tea, we all know what would have happened.
Yeah. Catherine's probably left there going,
oh, I was into that. You didn't have to run away. Yeah. Oh, man. So, yeah, Alex runs away. And this is where there's a shift in the book because it shifts right to where Alex signs the HEG contract. We find out that Alex and Caleb have started up a thing. I think she really did a whole ass 180 and was just like, yeah, never mind.
Yeah, she went full on defense mechanism, wall up. That's not me.
Yep. I literally wrote, now she's dating Caleb. What? Like, what? How? Oh. Yeah. So we get a little glimpse into that. Not a huge one. It's very much like bullet pointed, I feel like, in the book, because it's almost like, to me, it read as like, of course she did this. Of course she did this.
Yeah. You know what? I know about her moment of saying no and running away.
Oh, okay. Please.
Okay.
Tell us.
It says that she said her words felt like they belonged to someone else. In truth, they did belong to someone else. They belonged to decorum and society, to HEG and her pastor uncle and Sunday school teacher aunt. They belonged to Caleb, to the deep, impenetrable roots of the South, to the years of Sunday sermons and bedtime Bible studies, to the looks she'd seen Abby Sawyer and Erin Halsey and any number of other girls on other teams ignore.
And she couldn't.
Yeah.
I have goosebumps.
Me too.
Because I think, like, all those voices came back. All those voices in your head come back, and they gnaw at you, and they remind you of all the things that you have learned. And, like, that's, like, to any parent or to like any person, like remember that your voice is going to be the voice in your kid's head. Whether it's an affirming one or an unaffirming one, it's going to be in your kid's head, just like her pastor or fucking uncle. And yeah, oh, that's so heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she did do a 180. She just left. She jumped full steam in with Caleb because that's what she was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Let's talk about comp het for a second here. But no, we don't have to. But yeah, like literally, that's exactly what she was supposed to do. She was like, you know what? This will be quote unquote easier.
Yeah. And now she's using her one precious life to follow not her own inner voice, but to follow everybody else's.
Yeah.
Or what she interprets everybody else's to be.
It's the worst.
Okay.
Thank you guys for joining us for the first part of The Senator's Wife. Second part will be up shortly, if not already, and I hope you guys join us there.